The Browns, they're putrid. They're the worst team in the NFL.
The season, the 2024 season is over.
Lamar Jackson can't win the playoffs. He'll win a third MVP, though, so that's great.
Drew Sample is the most important piece of the Bengals offense next year.
Go Joe Burrow. He deserves to be MVP. I wish he was the Browns quarterback. Kind of mean that.
If you're looking for the most reactionary, silly, and unserious show on the internet, then you're home. Live from Hamilton, Ohio, it's Off the Bench by Chatterbox Sports on 1410 ESPN Radio.
The Browns, they're horrible. They're the worst team in the league. We welcome you in Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Casey just always starting off the show with just that absolute disgust in his voice, and I have to deal with that every day. Every day. I don't talk bad about your guys' team. Why do you guys do that to mine?
I think you do,
That's
though.
funny.
Oh.
That's hilarious.
Do I?
I think the chat would agree with
I just
that.
need to take a look in my inner self and just, self-evaluate. We'll get there. But no, happy Friday. Fridays are always fun, but this Friday is even more fun because it's the holiday weekend.
That's right.
That's right.
So, it's not like we get 2 days off. We get 3 days off. You guys, we got anything fun planned this weekend? Casey, you got anything fun planned this weekend?
I'm going to be working. So I will be doing stuff at Miami, and I don't know if I'm doing any high school stuff this weekend, but I am going to Miami. So that's all I have planned for.
Not Miami,
Not Florida, though. Yeah, I was going to say.
Not Florida. OU. Or Miami, Miami, Ohio. Sorry.
Oh, my God.
Definitely not.
Oh, my God.
Everyone thinks
I am all over the place. I was out late last night working, so I'm just tired.
Oh, okay. I got excited. I thought he was out having fun, making us look bad. But no,
It's a nice long weekend, except for Casey, who works all weekend.
That's right.
At Miami of OU. So there. No, Casey. Well, I hope work's not too bad. It's hot as hell out.
Very hot.
You don't know what high school games you guys are doing this weekend, but we have a lot of games in Dayton that are being pushed back. It's 8:00 kickoffs. We have Wayne and Pick Central tonight, and that game was moved from 7 to 8 at this point. They have us set up outside, so it. All right. No one can hear that on the show, I don't think, but everyone's reaction.
Unless you can. We're hearing the sound of the cosmos right now, and Casey is up to change that, and all 3 TVs are now off, and the camera can't change because he's not sitting there.
Now, this is a Friday show.
That's right.
We're in a bad spot now, Casey.
Yeah, I don't know. This is just gonna be one of those days, guys. I don't know.
Elliot, get us back on track here.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you have lined up this weekend?
Nothing. Thanks for
Attaboy.
asking. But I'm just gonna.
You redded it up last night. That was your big shindig.
That was my weekend party. I went to go see Thomas Rhett. There happened to be a baseball game beforehand.
Reds are gonna red it up tonight.
They are gonna red it up.
Back-to-back
Back-to-back Reds. Listen, good for the Cincinnati Reds last night. It was fun to see that win. I strolled into the ballpark, the latest I've ever done that. I came in the 5th inning.
Long lines.
No. Listen, I came in the 5th inning. Me and my buddy were like, there's no point in going to this early. What are we going in there to watch? And thank God we didn't, because we saw the only innings that matter. We saw the innings where the Reds played good baseball. So good for us. It was a fun concert. But yeah, it was a great night.
John Sadak kept mentioning on the broadcast how much the crowd was growing the later and later in the game.
Yeah.
He was like, there's a concert tonight, so this crowd is getting really full.
I know it started out bad. It started out, there was 100 people there. Because, a 5:10 start's impossible to
But
get to
it is
anyway.
reassuring to see highlights from around the league, from midweek games, from even some teams that are in contention.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people going to baseball games in the middle of August in general. So even though the Reds' attendance has obviously been bad for a while now, seems to be a thing across the league.
Did you guys see that the Cardinals had tickets posted on no free ads, but $0? You could literally go $0. Yeah, the Cardinals.
That's
the weekend. That's what I thought. And I thought when I've posted tickets for sale or anything like that, it says you can't post it for anything under $1. Now, I've been known to be duped a time or two, but I know I saw it on my invisible Twitter that we were just joking about a little bit ago. But yeah, they had tickets going for $1 and then even listed at $0 for some.
Kinder does have an invisible Twitter, and we don't talk about it enough.
Yeah, that's true.
That was really embarrassing. That tweet, it does not exist. It's nowhere to be found. It is nowhere to be found.
You just dreamt it. It was a good dream. I saw they had $1 tickets. I didn't see the $0 ones. But yeah, it's tough to see. Sorry, St. Louis. Very, very sorry about that.
Yeah, I know we all feel bad for those Cardinals fans as far as that's concerned.
Reds tickets are pretty cheap though too, so I'm not going to sit there and complain, make fun of them.
We did my.
$14 to go to a game and a concert last night.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I followed a lot of your advice from the draft advice the other day, and I finished with a C+ grade, by the way.
That's good. So if you picked the players we named early in the draft, that's not good because we were naming sleepers.
Oh. Yeah.
We went through sleepers in the
I'm
draft.
talking mad-ish to all the people in the
Yeah, those were guys you wanted at the very, very end.
To take late.
Oh, no.
if nobody else was available.
He was like, "Oh, Dontavion Wicks in the 3rd round. Let's go."
Wide receiver 4.
I can't believe you guys didn't take him. I mean, I'm surprised he was still there at number 1. But yeah,
Who was your first round pick?
I forgot to. God, who did I take? Hold on. This is bad. I'm like, we're all feeling.
I only
case
asked first round
of the
because I thought he'd be
Fridays.
able to get it off the top of the head.
No, I first overall pick.
So I got JJ, Mr. Justin Jefferson.
Okay, I like
off
it.
the bat.
Elliot does not.
Hate the pick.
I like it.
I went wide receivers right off the bat. I was a little nervous.
I always go wide
I
receivers.
had a chance to take Jamar. The only reason I didn't is just because I didn't want to get bit in the ass and him decide to miss the first game or two.
Could 15 weeks of Jamar with Joe Burrow outscore 17 weeks of Justin Jefferson with Sam Darnold?
Yes.
I think so too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Potentially. I don't know.
Brandon Ayuk's always interesting. I didn't take him, but he's always interesting. I mean, they had the Niners. They throw the ball less than any team in football, and he still finished with 7 touchdowns and 1,300 yards last year. That's what's wild about Ayuk. But I took Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, and then I screwed up because I was trying to help my wife with her stuff, and then it auto-picked Derrick Henry for me with my 3rd overall.
No, there you go.
Yeah, but I,
Oh, God.
But here's the right. Oh, my quarterback. I took C.J. Stroud. By the way, that's my guy. That's my nothing to do with Buckeyes. Just I was a fan of his last year, even though he did knock my team out of the playoffs. But yeah, this is the write-up of my team. It says in the draft that left many scratching their heads. I forgot to name my team, so it just says Justin's amazing team managed to secure a C+ grade, hinting at a season filled with ups and downs. So
There you go. Ups and downs are exciting. You want to eliminate the peaks and valleys.
That's
but the
right.
Peaks and valleys are what get you going. So
I took.
it's about the climb from the valley to the peak.
Correct. There's a healthy middle there, and if you
did-
climb the middle, you'll be a success.
If you're never
Little Miley
that
Cyrus?
good, it'll be better.
Correct.
That's what they've told us.
Yes.
And we won't
Just-
talk about who they is.
We just want to raise. We don't name drop on this show.
No, never.
We just want to raise the floor, lower the ceiling, but raise the floor.
And that's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal every single day. I took Travis Kelce, by the way. They gave me a high grade for taking Travis Kelce.
Whoa.
Which, by the way, no. What are you talking about?
I don't like it.
Do you realize that he is the greatest pass catcher in the history of football? He equals.
what?
He equals.
This is in
Oh,
response
in the
to his
tweet.
tweet.
The
He
tweet,
equals an
okay.
entire
Gotcha.
receiving room. I mean,
gotcha.
it is absolutely insane how talented this dude is.
I don't think Travis Kelce's going to finish in the top. I'll say 3 just to be safe, but top 3 tight ends this year.
Yeah, but literally the only pick that they gave me credit for was taking him overall.
Yeah.
And there is a part of me that's not feeling.
He's going very, very high in drafts respective to other tight ends.
Any other 35-year-old players you got on your team?
Let's see.
Derrick Henry, Travis Kelce.
Who else? What else I got? I took. Yeah, this is a bad draft. Listen, my
In
whole
real
goal.
time.
We did this draft because every year my wife gets mad at me because I'll do something that doesn't involve her. So I made sure that I got her involved. So I spent all my time helping her. Now she'll be offended that I said that because then she's thinking I'm taking credit for her. But she did. She had the highest draft grade in our draft last night. She's projected to win the league. But I ended up with she has Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow as her quarterback. She killed
Oh,
it.
that's fun.
Yeah, she
2 QB
killed it.
league?
Yeah, she killed
Is it a
it.
2
Is it a
QB
2
league?
QB league?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So,
That's
yeah.
incredible.
What's the entry fee for this league?
$50.
It's pretty good.
$50.
Pretty good.
So there's that. But yeah, Joe Mixon,
I love
Derrick
it.
Henry, but
I love Mixon. I hate Henry.
Tony Pollard.
Oh wow.
So yeah, we're done. We could be done with
That's brutal.
yeah.
That's
I
brutal.
took Blake Corum too. So
There you go. He might play.
it was the last pick. I had nothing left. It was
If
the
Kyron Williams gets hurt in a punt return, you might see him. Yeah.
C+, guys. See, it didn't fail. That's all.
I can agree with a C+.
I respect it.
C's get degrees.
It also doesn't really matter
At all.
whatsoever. But nonetheless,
Hey, was there sports happening?
there were sports happening yesterday.
So
Yeah.
I tell you what, let's pretend to be a serious talk show.
Please.
Just
For
when
one
we
ti-
thought that
for
Elliot
one
was going to
time.
kick off the show with headlines, that's not happening. It's not.
I was ready
Because
and everything. But that's okay.
So when we come back,
Yeah.
Elliot will kick off the second segment of the day with headlines.
That's
How about
still
that?
pretty good.
I mean,
That's pretty early.
I enjoy that. That's good.
Elliot's headlines when we come back. All right, and we are back off the bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, 1410 ESPN Radio in Dayton. Justin Kinner, Casey McAllister, Elliot Rearing, Jacob Tissett with you here, off and rolling here on a Friday. Things got off to a little bit of a bumpy start, a little bit of a slow, bumpy start. You know, we got TVs just, blaring soothing music at least.
It was Naturescapes.
No
is
free
what
ads.
is what it was. No free ads.
For the Roku TV original.
No free ads. Shout out to Pardon My Take. All right, here we go.
All right. Yes. So there's actually a lot of sport, not just baseball updates today. We got college football. We got a lot of stuff.
I get to
dive
put more
into.
things in my headlines than just baseball scores. So
At
that's
some point, we're going to start doing like a half-hour headline.
Oh my God! Yeah, on every Monday. Every Monday is gonna be a half-hour headline. So here we go. Headlines.
Loves three things: Joey Votto, David Bell, and leading off the bench with top headlines.
Yes, that's right.
That's
Headlines.
the closest to accurate that's been in a long time.
That's correct. Reds beat the Athletics 10-9. If you missed the game or didn't want to watch it, the Reds carried a 7-6 lead heading into the ninth inning. Alexis Diaz didn't record an out and gave up 3 runs. The Athletics took a then 9-7 lead, which was very disheartening for the fans. We were all booing him respectfully. And the Reds had to somehow rally in the bottom half to score 3 runs of their own. TJ Friedl walked it off with a base hit into right field. It was a very wild ending to a game that, if I'm going to be honest, the Reds had 0% chance to win that game. 0.
Lawrence Butler might be the greatest baseball player of all time.
He might be. I'll get to that in a second. Okay. But very, very good. Tyler Stephenson, another 3-hit performance. He went 3 for 5 with a home run, 2 RBIs. His hit streak now rises to 13 games. Santiago Espinal hit streak ends because he came in to pinch hit. Didn't get a full set of at-bats, but he did record an at-bat, an RBI. He did record an RBI. Will Benson has now homered in back-to-back games. Good for this guy. Lawrence Butler hit 3 home runs yesterday. It was the second time he has done so this season. 2 3-home run games. JJ Bleday went 5 for 5 with 2 doubles and a home run. The A's are the first team, this is a good one, the A's are the first team in MLB history to have one player hit 3+ home runs and another player collect 5+ hits and somehow lose the game. First team in MLB history to do so. Congratulations. By the way, the Reds somehow lost this series. The Reds and Brewers start a 4-game series this afternoon during a doubleheader. First game is at 12:40. Nick Martinez on the bump against Colin Rea. Rea is 12-4 on the year with a 3.6 ERA. Martinez is 6-6 with a 3.62 ERA. How many people do you think will come for that 12:40 game today?
I think it probably
800?
got cut in half by Louder being announced for the night game.
I think so too.
And it's hot as hell, so.
Well, right, yeah, I
And
didn't think that helped anyway. But
it's a
was
work
saying,
day, and the team is bad.
The very, very few fans that were going to go to the 12:40 game switched to the 7 o'clock game when Louder got announced.
I would bet under 2,000 actual people.
I'm
there.
going to pull up the broadcast to check.
Yeah.
Because I'm interested. It's going to be really low.
Announced crowd, they'll give them 7,000. But I'm just saying the people that are actually there, under 2,000. Nonetheless, Game 2 gets underway at 6:40, normal time. It is the debut of Rhett Louder, as Jacob just said. So, the Reds do have some exciting baseball tonight. So, hopefully everybody's there. It's not Shaq tonight, too, right? That's tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow is Shaq, the Diesel. That's some fun weekend news for Jacob. Jacob's going to go see Shaquille O'Neal DJ.
Well, I looked at the college football schedule, and I think I'd rather watch college football than see Shaq DJ.
Oh, devastating.
I know that sentence sounds crazy to say out loud.
Did anybody buy your tickets last night?
No.
Oh.
I put them up for $20, Elliot.
Oh, this is devastating. Around the league, Phillies, for the second time in 3 games, come back to beat the Braves. Good for them. Nick Castellanos hit a go-ahead 2-run shot. 5-4 victory there. Royals lose 6-3 to the Astros. 2 costly errors in the 8th were the difference. Dodgers, they win 6-3 over the Orioles, taking that series. Shohei Ohtani went 0 for 5 somehow. Cardinals beat the Padres 4-1. Blue Jays shut out the Red Sox as Bowden Francis took a no-hitter into the 6th inning. But the story of the game was Rich Hill, who entered the game in relief. It is his 20th season in Major League Baseball. He's 44 years old. He tossed 1 1/3 innings of 2 strikeout shutout baseball. Good for Rich Hill, future Red next year, age 45. Brewers shut out the Giants 6-0. So the Brewers are hot coming into Cincinnati. Yikes. College football. NC State beat Western Carolina 38-21 after a rocky start. A little bit of I thought there might have been a little bit of an upset there. I don't know what the spread was of this game.
Which one?
NC State.
Like 30.
They were
31, I
down.
believe.
They were down. I want to say in the second quarter, maybe in the third quarter. I don't know which. It was. They were down late.
I believe it was the third.
Third quarter, they were losing the game to Western Carolina. But nonetheless, they come back, win by 17 points. Bowling Green's football season started off with a walk-off kick return, or walk-off, with a opening kick return touchdown. They win 41-17 over Fordham. Didn't know Fordham had a football program, but good to see. Toledo, they dropped 49 on Duquesne in their opener. Good for my alma mater, who I didn't graduate from, but I did go to. And Colorado here, this is a good one. They hang on to beat North Dakota State 31-26. The game was decided by a questionable pass interference call. Deion Sanders was still throwing the football with a minute left, and the other team didn't have any timeouts. That was one of the crazier things I've seen.
He might need to hire a time management coach.
He threw it 3 times.
It's always prime time with Dion.
That's right. That's right. Well, what did
like-
Shedeur say? Shedeur said he performs best in Brady time, and I guess Brady time is the last 30 seconds of the game when you have the lead and the other team has no timeouts.
Crazy. The third down play with a minute and 10 seconds left, or whatever it was a screen pass.
The craziest,
and he caught it.
North Dakota State caught the Hail Mary.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like they were 5 yards away from winning that game with a Hail Mary touchdown. They should have never even got the ball. Colorado shouldn't have even got to 4th down.
No.
The clock would have ran out after 3rd down.
If that pass interference call didn't happen, North Dakota State would have won that football game. I have no doubt in my mind.
Travis Hunter also physically threw the corner into
yeah.
the front row of the stands on a touchdown, and they just didn't call it.
That's true.
And they ran the clock on North Dakota State's last possession after a 1st down before the ball was set. I think there was something afoot.
Do you think there was something afoot?
I think there's some higher up. Big college football benefits from Deion winning some early games.
I think you're right.
Travis Hunter's Heisman odds went from 50-1 to 25-1.
After that,
Heisman already chilling in his crib, just like it was in week 2 last year.
Louis.
Louis.
North Carolina survives after Minnesota misses a 42-yard field goal, 19-17, the final there. I don't trust left-handed kickers. There's something about it I don't trust. And again, I knew they were going to miss that field goal as soon as they lined up for it. Nonetheless, I don't know if Jacob was the one who sent me this. I don't know if Casey had it, so I'm not even going to ask. But basically what happened, the stadium celebrated with fireworks after the game losing field goal miss.
That's right. Yeah.
So, brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Down by 2, line up for a game-winning field goal, shank it, fireworks.
What happens when you don't have preseason?
Yeah.
I do have it if you want.
Yeah, let's play it.
In 1 second.
Let freedom ring.
This
baby.
costs so much money to do, and to do it after a loss.
We don't need volume on this, do we?
No.
We all get the concept that it's.
So you missed the field goal,
Imagine
you're in
what fireworks sound
devastation, and then look at that.
You just lost your season opener to North Carolina, a game that you controlled for most of the game. Fireworks.
Row the boat, baby.
That's right.
Brutal.
Row the boat.
That's right.
Brutal. And 12th ranked Utah, they shut out Southern Utah 49-0. So
35-0 at half too. They just dominated that game.
So good for Utah. They might be a little bit better than Southern Utah, who I again never heard of. But
Arkansas beat Arkansas Pine Bluff 70-0.
really,
It was a thrilling game because their offense just looked incredible. But
That is pretty
obviously Arkansas Pine Bluff doesn't really tell you a lot about how they're going to fare in the SEC this year.
Carlos Alcaraz, for those of you tennis fans, he was stunned by 74th ranked. This is going to be impossible. Botic van de Zandschulp.
I
And
appreciate the effort.
and
There's a 0% chance you got that right.
0.
But you say it with confidence.
Yeah,
and
he was
do you
stunned
have
by
people saying, "I didn't know that's how you."
You're right.
pronounce
Let me
that."
start again. He was stunned by 74th ranked Bodich van Zandschulp in straight sets at the U.S. Open. Alcaraz walked off to the locker room in sadness after his big loss.
Surprised he didn't smash his racket again.
I thought he would have. Little temper tantrum. And we're going to end this, unfortunately, with very, 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 very sad news. Blue Jackets star Johnny Gaudreau and his brother were killed in a car crash last night. They were riding bicycles, and a driver who was driving under the influence unfortunately struck them. So very, 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 very sad news in the hockey world, in the hockey community, and the sports world.
Yeah, that story is, and that's making its rounds all morning. I know Greeny on Get Up this morning. I mean, did about a 3-minute piece on it. Like, for one, this next part, to make it even worse, it's a tragedy no matter what. But it's, the fact that, for one, it was a drunk driver that killed them. That's horrible. And then it's his sister's wedding today.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck? I mean, horrible, absolutely horrible. No doubt about it. But Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, 1410 ESPN Radio in Dayton. Here on a Friday, Justin Kinner, Casey McAllister, Elliot Rearing, Jacob Tissett with you here. That was Elliot's headlines. And yeah, we did that a lot earlier in the show than usual.
Yeah, that's right. Did you watch the Colorado game?
Yes, I did. And there's something I kind of like when Colorado's good with Dion. As much as he drives me nuts, as much as Shedeur drives me nuts, as much as that team drives me nuts, there's just, especially with how bad these matchups are to start the first couple weeks of the season, there's not a whole lot of excitement, right? Like we talked about for Ohio
I'm stoked
State.
for next week.
For next week, okay, at least for this week,
Okay.
right? Like, so for Dion to at least provide some kind of talk, whatever. I haven't looked at next week, so shame on me.
It's Colorado at Nebraska. It's going to be a thrilling
I saw
game.
Nebraska -7 at this point. That line will move around a bit, obviously. So, yeah, I don't know. What did you think of Colorado last night? Remember who they're playing, too.
Travis Hunter is incredible. Travis Hunter is unbelievable. I think he's a top 5 corner and probably a top 10 wide receiver in the country, which when you put those two together, he's probably a top 2 or 3 player in college football.
Yep.
He's unbelievable. Any hate this college football season that I say about Colorado, any jokes I make at the expense of their program, none of them are directed at Travis Hunter. He is unbelievable. He's an NFL talent, and I think there's a legitimate chance he could touch both sides of the ball in the NFL. I think he's that good. Every other player on Colorado I don't love. The defense got 2 major pass rush transfers. They didn't have pressure on North Dakota State basically all night. They woke up in the third quarter and started to defend the run, but even when it mattered at the end, North Dakota State ran it down their throat and ended up tying the game or actually taking the lead. I don't know what Colorado showed last night that's that much drastically different than what we saw last year. Shedeur was under pressure all night. I know he didn't get sacked much. This is an FCS team. I mean, they play in the Big 12. I know I've been hating on the Big 12 this week, but that's a lot tougher than the FCS, no matter how you slice it. So I'm not any more optimistic about Colorado's season than I was going into last night. Nothing really changed for me. Everything we've known about Colorado is Shedeur is going to go out there and put up some pretty cool numbers, and nothing else is really going to happen. I think Colorado is going to lose next week at Nebraska. I still think they're going to scratch and claw to try to make a bowl game. I think that's the line for them this year. My real question is, can Shedeur do enough to trick NFL scouts into taking him super high? Because I just don't think he's an NFL quarterback. Everything we saw last night is the textbook version of the college quarterback you point to in draft season and say none of these highlights can work in the NFL.
Yep.
He's double spin moving out of 3 pass rushers and chucking the ball 70 yards downfield to a wide receiver who has a 10-yard lead on his corner and then comes to a complete stop to catch the ball. That happened 5 or 6 times last night. And they're great plays in college football and it helps them win games. I don't think it's anything that can be replicated in the NFL. I think the NFL talent there is Travis Hunter this year, and I think Shedeur's going to look really good against bad teams, and I'm interested to see what happens against good teams.
Yeah, like the Shedeur thing, there's so much. I mean, and I'm seeing the instant overreaction last night, too, of, man, those two can go 1 and 2 in the draft, and we'll get to that coming up later on as far as what the draft is going to look like for them. And by the way, it's August. We don't need to be talking about next year's NFL draft by any means. But no, Hunter is like unbelievable. He's going to be the most fascinating talking point heading into next year's draft. As I just said, stop talking about the draft, because you're right. Like, what's he going to be drafted as? You're just drafting him as the athlete, and then you figure it out from there. I mean, he's going to be the NFL's version of, and maybe I'm giving him a little too much praise, is the NFL's version of Shohei Ohtani, where Shohei Ohtani, a dominant pitcher, obviously dominant with the bat in his hand. Not necessarily saying he's going to be that good in the NFL, but at the same time, like, he's so dominant on both sides of the ball, you have to decide what you want to do. Look, the Reds had to do that with Hunter Green. And by the way, that we got the Hunter Green bobblehead. That I think we got that early. When is that Hunter Green bobblehead giveaway? But no, Hunter Green.
September 1st. When is September 1st?
Perks right there. But no, like Hunter Green, the Reds had to decide when they drafted him, one of the best position players in that draft, one of the best pitchers in the draft. They had to decide what they wanted to do. Baseball is very different. Obviously, Shohei's kind of proven that's a little different. You look at Travis Hunter, I have no clue what the hell teams are going to decide to do with him when he gets to that level. But I've also said, too, and I think, have had this debate. It was one of the biggest debates we ever had on Grip It and Rip It, right?
It's a long list.
It was a long list of debates, no doubt about it. But, like, is he playing both sides of the ball? For one, he's capable of it. But I think there's a lot of athletes throughout college football that can play both sides of the ball. They just don't have to. Travis Hunter is doing this because he's super talented, yes, but he's also doing it because I don't think there's anyone super talented. They have no depth. I don't know if Travis Hunter plays at Ohio State, is he playing on both sides of the ball? And I mean, like, to the level of which we're seeing here. I don't think so. So that's the question that teams have to ask.
No, I certainly don't think so either. And when I suggest that he might play both sides of the ball in the NFL, I do not mean every snap like he's doing now. I think he's going to be primarily a corner and then have, packages as a receiver, jet sweeps, different things like that. Screen passes. I think he's going to be a gimmick guy on offense and then be a primary corner. Unless, if he can string together a 12-game season of 130 yards and 3 touchdowns every week, maybe that changes things and he gets drafted as a wide receiver. But I think his future in the NFL, just with his length and his speed, I think he'll be a corner. And I do think teams will use him on offense, because if you're picking high enough in this draft to get Travis Hunter, I don't think you're going to be a very good team. So I think they'll at least explore that in his rookie season, maybe his second season, at the very least in training camp, and just see if it's transferable.
Does that hurt him?
It doesn't.
Not knowing what, you know what he is, but does it hurt him?
I think it's driving him up draft boards just because he's not the best corner nor the best receiver, and he's being talked about as a top 5 pick. And I think if the conversation about him was focused on one position, I don't think he'd be talked about as a top 5 pick.
And would he have to declare what he is?
I don't think.
Do you see what I mean?
I think it would be smart that if he doesn't, and just let teams at least hold out the he could maybe play both sides and let a team make that final cutoff that he can't. I think he'll probably test as a DB if he goes to the combine when that comes, just because 40 times he'll probably look better in that bunch than with the wide receivers. So that would be my guess. But, yeah, I think if anyone we've ever seen can play both sides in the NFL, I think it's going to be him. Obviously ever seen in this era. Miles Jack played both sides of the ball a few years ago at UCLA, running back and linebacker, and there was never a single question about him playing anything other than linebacker in the NFL. So I think the fact that we're having these conversations, I know August is a long way from the draft, but these conversations in draft year, he's made it this far, and we're talking about him playing both sides in the NFL. I think that's just a testament to how good he is really at doing it.
Yeah, and, like I said, if he's at an Alabama or an Ohio State or elsewhere, that's why I thought it was crazy when Ryan Day was talking about Caleb Downs running the football. It's like, that's not even a weak part of your game. You just got 2 of the best running backs in the league, and you're talking about taking Caleb Downs and having him run. But someone asked if I'm in a booster seat. The great thing about this, let's see. Oh, look at this. I'm low. And, now my feet are stuck. Super athletic over here. We're done. Off the bench, presented by United Dairy Farm. I can't. I'm like tangled up in the cord. I'm about to fall. Super athletic. Now I look even shorter than what I actually am. Let's just get out of here. All right, Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, 1410 ESPN Radio in Dayton. We'll stay talking a little bit of college football. Jacob's going to give you his top 5 potential upsets as we head into the weekend. Already a lot of great college football storylines. You look at last week, Florida State losing to Georgia Tech in week 0. Of course, that was the highlight of that week. I think Colorado playing yesterday was great. They got a lot of people talking college football, whether you're tuning in for the right or wrong reasons, whether you're tuning in to hate watch them, to watch them fail, or tuning in because, there's some great, exciting talent on that field. More power to you, but college football is finally here, and we're talking about it. So Jacob will give you his top 5 upset alerts coming up on the other side. More Off the Bench next.
bit.
Okay. I never know which TV is live anymore. As far as I'm tall again.
I think both, actually.
Oh, really? Look at us. I'm tall again, though, so there we go.
That's right.
All right, Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, 1410 ESPN Radio in Dayton. Tasden says Kinner has a Browns tattoo. I do not. I would never get a tattoo of a sport. Are any of you tattoo guys? And if you are, or if you were, at any point would you have a tattoo of any of your sports teams? I can't do that. As much as I love sports is my life, I will never put a sports tattoo on myself.
Casey told me he was going to get a tattoo of Deshaun Watson on his face.
That's what I was told.
Nice, dude. Left, right cheek, what you doing?
I actually heard he was getting an entire back piece of his week 1 stink list.
Yes. That's what I heard as well.
The tier list, but on your entire back.
Like 2024 week 1 stink list.
Or maybe whole season outlook if it's going to be permanent, but maybe you could make the grid permanent and then use temporary tattoos of team logos.
Yeah,
we fill your
like
back
this.
in with the stink list every week. I think that'd be a good segment.
I like this a
Maybe
lot.
we could sell Casey's back to a local company.
Oh, I think we could.
We can put a permanent tattoo on this person's back.
This person being you.
For $5,000.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
don't know, I
ultimate
kinda like
membership right there on YouTube. Like,
Casey's back.
actually, if someone donates $25,000 right now, Casey will get a permanent tattoo on his back with the Cleveland Browns. There you go. Fair enough.
The
Fair
putrid
enough.
Browns.
Putrid. I couldn't remember the word to use. I only hear that damn thing every single day. Have to sit through it and suffer.
They're putrid. They're
Putrid.
the worst team in the NFL.
With one of my first days here, I wasn't familiar with the bit, and he did a stink list, and the Browns were 32nd. And I remember I was like, I mean, I hate the Browns too, but they're not the worst team in the league. And then I think Elliot nudged me or something, and I was like, oh, okay.
So there's a stink list, so I'm not even familiar with it.
Oh, the stink list. You're going to love the stink list.
Right? It happens every week.
You're absolutely going to love the stink list.
A weekly stink list?
Yeah,
Oh,
for
yeah.
the NFL teams. And
we have a hell of a stinger
and
for it.
it's ranked based off of their appeal, their aroma, their
How much they stink.
Nice.
yeah, how much they stink. Obviously, the Browns are never getting out of the putrid. 'cause
And
they
there's
stink.
nothing that goes into it other than Casey's opinion. It's
And
straight
I love
up
that.
It's straight up just does Casey think the team stinks or not? A really, really good team could be low on the list and a bad team be at the top because he's like, well, the good
No,
team, the wins aren't real.
Has
They
anyone
smell
made
bad.
eating in Mandarin look cooler
No.
than
I
Casey?
like,
Casey makes everything look cool.
It's like Miami will never
smack.
be like in the higher tier of aroma because they'll never win a playoff game. So they'll always stink.
Now take the bite. There
Did
you
you
go.
think
See?
you were going to
Yeah.
rank?
Same with like Dallas.
Yeah.
Like, Dallas has never made it up past like the upper echelon of aromaness.
When you agreed to host this show, do you think you'd be ranking teams based on aroma?
No, but if I did, I pretty much assumed the Browns would always be,
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
down at the bottom of that list or at the top of the list. How is that necessary? I mean, don't you think the stink list, number one, should be the stinkiest, right?
Well,
Have you been doing this
it's
incorrectly?
It's a tier list.
Okay.
It's tiered.
And
Yeah.
the Browns are in the putrid tier.
a stink you can have a good stink to you. You can be like you can
Yeah, of
have
course.
a good aroma.
Don't you know?
It's called musk. It's got.
I don't know about Musk, but I got to pull up the list again. I got to see what the tiers are. I got to remember.
Everett says, "Stop it, Kenner. We have a system and traditions."
Valid. I will not mess with that. But all right, Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. College football. Technically, week 0 last week. We watched college football last night, but I still keep annoying people by saying college football kicks off this weekend.
That's right.
I guess the real games. I don't know what you want to call it, but college football week 1. College football Saturday, let's just put it that way, kicks off officially coming up this weekend, and Jacob is going to give you his top 5 upset alerts. These are the top 5 upsets that he believes you should have on your radar, and if you lose money, blame him, and if you make money, you owe him a little bit of a cut. I think that seems
not
fair.
gambling advice, but I'll be taking it. So,
How about that?
yeah, my first one is a game that I failed to mention when I was asked about major week 1 games originally, and big time apologies about that because I'm super excited for this game. Penn State, a top 10 team in the country, travels to West Virginia. West Virginia getting 8.5 points. It depends on what you believe in Drew Aller. Personally, I do not think Drew Aller took a big enough step this offseason that they're going to be much better than they were last year. However, they did dominate West Virginia in their season opener last year. So take that for what you will. But I think this is going to be a very close game. I think West Virginia at the very least covers, and I think they could win the game in Morgantown. That place is going to be rowdy. Game day's there. The Big Noon kickoff version, not actual college game day.
Oh.
But I still think it's going to be rowdy. It's going to be fun.
Game day's there, he says.
It's a primetime game, not in the primetime slot. So, Miami, Florida against Florida in the Swamp. Miami, Florida, high expectations this year. Transfer quarterback, a lot of additions to the team. They're only a 2.5-point favorite in the Swamp as a ranked team playing an unranked team. Don't know how I feel about that. That spread's telling me something. I think Florida could be sneaky. I also think Florida could win like 4 games this year.
Yeah.
So Miami could prove that everyone's right and all of the opinions on them is super high. But I don't know that they necessarily start hot. I think this could be a tough game for them to go into. And we already know Mario Cristobal can't manage the clock, so he might fumble with a lead and the other team having no timeouts with like 30 seconds left. So we have no idea. Virginia Tech at Vanderbilt is the other game that I really like the underdog in this weekend. Vanderbilt getting 13.5 points with a transfer quarterback, Diego Pavia from New Mexico State. New Mexico State was a very, very exciting team last year. They went into Auburn, beat Auburn in Jordan-Hare Stadium in the second to last week of the season last year. In week 1, they're hosting Virginia Tech. A lot of hype around Virginia Tech this year in the ACC because they're returning 19 of 22 starters.
There we go.
That sounds like a phenomenal stat, right?
Yeah.
They went 6-6 last year. So what is?
Well,
If you return a 6-6 team, how much better are you?
7-5.
Maybe, and maybe one of those 7 wins comes against Vanderbilt this weekend. Maybe they do take a big leap, but I'm not quite as high on Virginia Tech as a lot of other people. I think Vanderbilt is at the very least going to cover that game. The other game I'm rocking with is close friends of Chatterbox Sports, the Miami, Ohio Redhawks.
Ooh, you took mine. That a boy.
Miami, Ohio
Nice
plus
job.
3 in Northwestern. Northwestern playing at that practice facility stadium. I think Miami, Ohio wins that game outright. So I like them in that one against Northwestern. I think Northwestern's going to be a pretty bad team this year. I think they're going to lose a lot of games. Don't expect a lot of excitement around them. The whole thing that got them rolling was the whole Evanston, Indiana at 9 a.m. They get up and get a little bit rowdy for it. Well, now they're playing at a practice field with 8,000 fans. So I don't think they have any home field advantage, even if they did before the move. But, yeah, I think Northwestern's going to be a bottom feeder in the Big Ten this year, so I'd take Miami in that game. Those are the top 5 upsets for me this weekend, but I do have a question for the room about upsets in general because Notre Dame is plus 3 at Texas A&M.
Yep.
But Notre Dame is the 7th ranked team in the country, and A&M is ranked 20th. Which team winning would be the upset?
Home field advantage, though.
But which team winning is the upset? Do you go with the line or the lower ranked team?
I think in this particular scenario, I do think Notre Dame should be underdogs because they're on the
So
road.
Notre Dame winning would be the upset, even though they're ranked 13 spots higher.
Correct.
Okay.
I
was genuinely asking.
I also think that even Vegas bookmakers know that those preseason rankings don't matter
For sure.
So
I was asking
I understand
more
the
for
point,
this
but
segment.
yeah,
Because
that's fair.
if that's the case, Notre Dame is number 1 on the list.
Yeah.
I think they're going to throttle A&M. I think they're going to win.
Really?
In Kyle Field, yeah. I think they're gonna win that game for sure. So I'm taking Notre Dame to cover. I'm taking Notre Dame outright. Them and Miami are my 2 favorite underdogs this week.
The upset conversations always fascinate me with that, like what you talked about. I love that scenario right here. Number 7, Notre Dame, going up against number 20, Texas A&M. Texas A&M, though, is the favorite. But we all say the AP Top 25 poll means absolutely nothing. So that's why I don't really care about where the teams are ranked as far as that's concerned. I would still put more stock into the Vegas line. But I will say, as we get further into the season, especially when the college football playoff polls come out, like, let me ask you, if you have a top 10 matchup, number 4 versus number 8, and number 4 loses to number 8, I don't like when the headlines, number 4 gets upset by number 8. Like, I feel like if you're 2 top 10 teams going head-to-head, I don't really look at either team losing as an upset. You know what I mean? Like, I that's kind of how I view it. Kev and I on the show the other day, the Ken and Kev show in Dayton, we try to look at Ohio State's schedule. They're going to be double-digit favorites pretty much in every single matchup this season. So we said, okay, what's the biggest potential upset that's on that schedule? Now, he said Penn State. And I was like, I'm not saying losing to Penn State's a good thing. You're Ohio State. You're a national championship contender. You shouldn't lose to Penn State. But Penn State's been viewed as the third biggest power in the Big Ten for quite some time now. I don't know if I view that as a humongous upset. Do you count Penn State being the biggest upset potential for Ohio State from that perspective? I guess it's an upset, but I'm like, it's Penn State. I don't know how that's technically an upset. To me, an upset's you're losing to Northwestern. You're losing to Purdue when Ohio State lost there. If Alabama is losing to Kentucky, stuff like that. Like, that's kind of where I'm at as far as upsets are concerned.
Well, for me personally, when you're talking about a team of that tier, of Penn State's tier, it's strictly where the game is. If we're playing in Happy Valley, I don't think it's an upset. If Penn State beats Ohio State in the shoe, I think that's an upset. So, and obviously it's dependent on how that team is. If it's a really bad Penn State team and Ohio State goes in to Happy Valley and they're minus 30 and they lose, then certainly that's an upset. But in the case like I think it will be this year, where Penn State has 1 or 2 losses as a top 15 or 20 team, and Ohio State presumably undefeated, maybe 1 loss goes into Penn State, I would consider it an upset this year, just because of the expectations of Ohio State's team. But normally, probably not.
Miami of Ohio, real quick. I like that you picked them on that upset. They're interesting. They're very interesting, only because they are supposed to be very, very good this year. Right now, very good based on what standards? I don't know. Like, right when we talk about very good, like Ohio State good, no. But like their schedule provides them an opportunity. We talk all the time about Cincinnati when they were going through their run, when they were in the American. People are constantly discrediting what they did. Well, they're playing Tulane, they're playing Eastern Carolina, they're playing while Ohio State's having to go through Michigan and Penn State, Alabama's having to play Auburn and LSU, and Cincinnati's bragging because they hold on to beat Tulane, right? Like they just because they have to play a lighter schedule up front. But like Miami of Ohio's playing at Northwestern, they're only a 3-point dog. You have a chance. You have Cincinnati coming to your place. All right, these are Power 4 opportunities. You beat Northwestern, you beat Cincinnati. I don't think there's going to be many that give Miami of Ohio a chance against Notre Dame. But if they are as good as what people say and they take care of business in the MAC, and you get 2 or 3 of those wins against Northwestern, Cincinnati, Notre Dame, it's a 12-team playoff. I mean, could they be one of those bubble teams? I saw that Heather Dinich is going to be doing the bubble, the college football playoff bubble. Miami of Ohio is kind of an interesting team that they have an opportunity. Don't squander it. It's a nice schedule, especially getting Cincinnati, a Power 4 school now, to come play at your place. It's the last time that'll happen, so it's like take advantage of that if you're Miami of Ohio.
22-1 to make the playoff, and I absolutely love it. Miami was a great team last year. Yep. They ran through the MAC, and I expect them to do the same thing again. If they can beat Northwestern this week and take care of Cincinnati, I expect them to take care of the MAC. An 11-1 Miami, Ohio that loses to Notre Dame is in the playoff. So I think that's the bar they have to shoot for, and obviously you would like to have more wiggle room than 1 loss against a top 10 team, but that's not the reality of the situation when you're not a Power 4 program. So I think Miami goes 11-1 with the loss to Notre Dame. They're in. 11-1 with a loss to Cincinnati. They might be in, probably in. Any version of 11-1 with a loss to one of the Power 4 teams, I think they're in. Anything else, they don't have a chance.
Everett said, "Remember when Tom said he would drink high noons if Miami won the MAC? Was that a thing?
I don't remember.
Was Miami of Ohio?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. I was on the show when he said it, and I don't remember it. I remember he brought in high noons for us, though, right?
Yeah, I think he did.
All I brought you guys is bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits. What a loser I am. I gotta step my game up.
No,
I thought about getting some Capri Suns for us today.
You should have done that.
I tried to find
them.
them.
The weekend.
I stopped at a Kroger on my way home and looked for them. They didn't have them.
Oh,
see, like that's what I mean. Like I even went to a gas station just hoping that, because sometimes you just see nothing. I can't find the pouches, and I will not tarnish the legacy of Capri Sun with bottles. Just saying, as far as that's concerned. But no, nonetheless. But Miami of Ohio, very interesting. And again, this is a business conversation here. Shout out to Miami of Ohio.
That's right.
We do business with them. That's why we're propping them up, right? I'm waiting to be accused of that. But no, I love that schedule. It's a very interesting one for a MAC school, no doubt. All right.
I hope UC ends the rivalry with a 44-0 win.
That'd be cool.
I'd like that.
They go out with back-to-back wins.
No.
Oh,
no. I mean,
they lost last year.
I'm meaning UC wins this year.
Okay.
Is there controversy with that, them ending that? Cincinnati ended that.
No. I think Miami ended that.
Well,
Miami ended it.
I looked into this. Cincinnati fans say Miami ended it. Miami fans say UC ended it. And both message boards have sources confirming the opposite.
Why would Miami
Well, I'm going to believe my side. So,
of course, naturally. And
so Miami ended it because they were too afraid. And I think realistically, it was to it was something with the bye game.
To add more bye games is the story I saw. But I also saw from Miami's
here's how I view it. If Cincinnati did end it, I don't blame them. I get that, right? Like Miami, if you're going to – has that been a buy game situation, though? Is Miami always a buy game for Cincinnati?
It has been up until last year.
Okay. So, yeah, I get why Cincinnati would do it, but if Miami of Ohio, why are you taking off a Power 4 team, a team that for quite some time moving forward until Satterfield or whoever the coach is gets them built back up? No, that's not a shot at them. That they're vulnerable. So if Miami of Ohio is the one that pulled the plug on that, that's kind of silly on their part. So
I agree.
Who knows? But all right, we'll step away for a few moments. Casey's going to take care of some ad reads. We went over on that one, I think, but nonetheless, we'll get caught up here. We're going to get into Nick Castellanos. He was asked if he was commissioner for a day, what would he change about Major League Baseball? And it was a very interesting takeaway that he had, and I absolutely loved it. So we're going to get to that coming up around the corner. We'll talk some Cincinnati Reds and some buy or sell here coming up shortly as well. More Off the Bench next.
Who do you think got hurt?
Well, hey. We're doing ads early. I hope that's okay with y'all. Pawnee Water. Made right here in Hamilton, Ohio. Uses natural limestone filtration, unlike the artificial processing other brands use. The result being a healthy alkaline water. Visit Pawnee Water at PAHHNI water.com. That's PAHHNI water.com so you can buy this great tasting water. And the future Bengals report is brought to you by Encore Technologies. Encore Technologies delivers cutting-edge IT solutions for a data-driven world, from mobile computing and desktop support to advanced data center solutions. They help businesses enhance efficiency and
Productivity.
Great job, Jimbos. Visit encore.tech, where your path to innovation begins. Here, there, everywhere, but mainly right here.
Mostly here.
Mostly here. Game Time.
Game Time.
Our ticketing sponsor app. Love Game Time. Use them all summer long to watch Reds games. They've basically given me great deals all season long. We got to sit in the nice fancy booths and whatnot. We've sat everywhere down in the lower bowl. We've sat out in the bleachers. We sat out in right and left field. We've sat everywhere with Game Time, and they've always got the greatest deals, last-minute tickets, and lowest prices. The pricing's all up front, and you get to see exactly where you're sitting at, which is phenomenal, in my opinion.
Casey, real quick on the Game Time thing. So earlier we were talking about the Cardinals, and I did find it. It was Game Time. Tickets were being given away for $1 to $0 on Game Time.
What other app can you get $0 tickets on?
Like, that's wild to me.
Yeah, it's insane. Zero. I don't know. I still don't fully understand how it works, though.
You just
You pay the fine,
you pay the fees.
but there would
Well,
be
there's no
but
fees
there would
on
be
Game
no
Time.
fees.
So you just select the ticket.
I guess. Like, you just get it.
It's
You
yours.
just get it for free.
I know we don't like free it's Barstool, so it's a legit article too. So I didn't imagine it. I was really starting to doubt myself again. I was having a panic attack. Oh no, but I did find it. But yeah, St. Louis Friends fire sale on Cardinals tickets tonight and tomorrow night. Game Time has tickets for $1 and $0. I wonder how many people pick the $1 over the $0 tickets.
I would, legitimately. If I open the Game Time app and there's a $0 ticket and a $1 ticket, I'm picking the $1 ticket.
As a
because
true fan.
I understand how that transaction will take place.
As a true fan, you can't just take the free. You got to.
No. I'll be a good bootlicking fan and give Uncle Bob my cash.
Yep.
Uncle Bob.
That was a big argument on Twitter yesterday, that people shouldn't be going to Reds games anymore.
I don't like that argument. Never have.
I almost understand it a little bit from the sense of you think you're making a difference, but in reality, there's no difference to be made. Nobody's showed up to that stadium or that ballpark for 10 years now. It's been bottom half of attendance for a long time. Nothing's really ever changed. And my whole thing is, if you like the Reds, if you like the players on the team, why not go and see them? You're supporting the players. You're not supporting anybody else. Ellie De La Cruz is more than enough reason to go watch a ball game.
So we've had this debate before where I said, sports is so different. Like if I go to a restaurant, a little mom and pop restaurant, right?
Yeah.
And, you walk in and the customer service is bad and they're rude and the food is bad, but you just keep going. you keep going and you keep going and you keep going because, hey, you're wanting to support local business, right? But then the owners are like, well, I know our customer service is bad. I know our waitresses and everyone, they're horrible, but the food's god-awful. I mean, the food's stale. I mean, but, hey, these people keep coming, so there is no reason for us to continue to try to better our services or whatever. But if people stop showing up, if people stop giving you their business, then all of a sudden you're forced to reevaluate what you're doing, and then you have to better your product to get people to come back. Sports is the only thing that doesn't work.
In the case of the Reds, though, there's like 4 really hot waitresses. Like, the food's bad, the service is bad, but, like, Ellie is a 10 out of 10
Correct.
waitress.
No, everyone got
you're,
real quiet,
and you're
like, where
going
you going
back.
with it?
I didn't know where
You
he
get
was
what I'm
going
getting?
with
You get what I'm
it.
saying?
I got it towards the end
Like,
of it.
maybe he's
But
not
I
the
was
best
nervous.
server.
I was nervous for a while.
No, we're not on radio.
I was nervous for a while.
But, yeah, there's, like, Hunter Green, phenomenal talent in the serving department.
He's
Correct.
a hot waitress. Is that
Very,
Hunter,
yeah.
Hunter Green? and
Hunter
Ellie
Green,
Dillon?
Ellie, the first 3 months of Nick Lodolo.
That's right.
Hunter Green, that 1 4-week period of Jonathan India.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
That's our, yeah.
That's the good. That's the
Hot
good
waitresses. That's a clip. There we go. Who are the 5
I
hot?
feel like that's a good
No.
analogy.
It was a tie into this, but yes,
Okay.
the clip is the 5 hottest waitresses for the Cincinnati Reds. Ellie De La Cruz, like
That's a segment for next week. 5 hottest waitresses if the Reds were a bad restaurant.
That'll be good. That'll go over well.
Hey, Casey, when he's asked about his favorite memories of the show, he's like, "Hey, remember that time you guys hijacked my ad segment?" And we're gonna laugh. Back to Casey.
Take the guesswork out of buying tickets
There's
for game
no way
time.
that was the game time ad.
I didn't finish it. You guys didn't let me finish the game time ad.
Can we redo it so it's easier to clip?
What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? You want me to finish it? You want us to get paid around
I want
here?
you to take a stranglehold on the ad reads and do the ads.
I'm not jumping in ahead of you guys. You guys you guys do what you do.
Can we so do we want to redo it so it's easier to clip?
No, I'm not redoing it.
Include the
Take
5
the
hot
guesswork out of
waitresses.
buying
Casey.
tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account and use code OTB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code OTB for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time.
What time is it, Jacob?
Game time.
What time is it, fellas?
It is game time.
That's right. It's game time.
We got to
Download
get
today.
through that ad quicker. You cannot lose control of the ad.
I have to do all that nonsense there at the beginning.
Now it's
Oh, we got
that ad was-
we can't clip any of
nice.
this.
We're taking that whole ad out of the live.
We have
of
to take the whole
stream.
thing. We have to edit it out right now.
That's called make goods in our business. You have to make it good. You have to give them a free one now.
It's a 60-minute spot, or not a 60 minutes.
Jesus.
It's a 60-second spot. So I have to fill in time.
But I feel like you
When-
went
When
way
you
over
start
60
filling
seconds.
in time,
Nah,
it indicates to me that the ad is over.
No, that's the start of the ad.
See, the communication on the timing of these ads is poor.
Yeah, I agree. What's going to happen now for game time ads?
I'm never gonna say another
I'm
word
going to sit
once
out
you say the word
fully
game time.
forever.
My cue to speak in the game time ad now is what time is it?
I've already tried to stop talking during it. I thought we were done. with the
thought
ad.
I did.
I thought we were done during the ads, but that's my bad.
I'm sorry, Casey.
It's all good. It's all good.
I'm sorry, game time.
Sorry, game time.
Game time. Woo!
I just get so jazzed to use game time.
Other housekeeping items. We have dialed in right after this. So stay tuned for that. It'll be me, Tom, and Luke. We're changing the time up a little bit for just today's show. I don't know if that's what's going to be moving forward, but yeah. So stick around for dialed in, and then I think I don't know what you guys are going to be able to do with box lunch because
There will be no box lunch because I have to go to Miami.
Because Elliot's got to come with me in Miami. We're going to do field hockey today. So I don't know if you've ever done field hockey.
Oh, I'm excited.
I've never done field hockey, so this is going to be interesting.
Is it like lacrosse but on the field?
Yeah, I think.
I don't know. Or is it like I don't understand it.
I don't know either. We'll find out together.
I think it's like hockey.
It's like hockey, but
on
on
a
the field.
field.
Are you sure? All right. Would you bet on it?
Would I bet on field hockey, or would I bet that
Would
field
you
hockey
bet
is
on
hockey
field
on a field?
hockey is hockey but with grass?
The more we say it out loud, the more confident I am.
Okay. All right.
Cool. Well, other than that, I think, of course, we have other things this weekend, like the high school sports in Miami. We're doing soccer and field hockey again during this weekend, so check those out. Bengals, Chatterbox Bengals on Tuesday.
On Tuesday, that's right.
Might as well
Tuesday night.
start advertising for that
Let's
now, right?
do it. Let's do it. Yeah, Tuesday night, Chatterbox Bengals. Join us live as we go into week 1.
That's right.
We'll preview everything for you guys, and then we'll be live again on Thursday.
Okay. Yeah. And I think that concludes all of our housekeeping items, unless you guys want to hit the like button, share the show with a friend. I've noticed that like none of you are liking when I'm asking you to like the show around this time. That really hurts my feelings. I really need you guys to step up. Like, I can't go back and look at our shows and only see like 20 likes when we start off the show with like 15. Like, come on.
One more piece of housekeeping, right? We're no show Monday.
Oh, yeah, that's right. No show Monday because of Labor Day. We will not be here. So.
Is that still considered a clown-free day, even though we're all not here?
Yeah, it's
I think the chat can decide.
By the way, I was really excited when you were getting called a clown so much in your social media back and forth.
Yeah.
But it was you were just a regular clown. You weren't clown with a K.
That's right. No, that's right. Dodge that bullet.
Are we gonna do a Halloween show this year? Because I already know what I'm gonna
I think
be.
it's during the weekdays. So.
Well, if we're not doing a Halloween show, I'm going to be the only one in costume, which will be a real shame.
I mean, I'm going to be a clown. Like, there's no surprise
Yeah,
about it. Like,
I'm
it's
going to spend hundreds of dollars on a costume. I'm just letting you guys know right now. I haven't planned anything yet.
Are we gonna do like a theme for Halloween, or just
No,
everyone?
I think everyone is just tasked with. I think it's a costume party.
Costume
I think we're planning
contest?
this in August for a reason, and it's a costume contest. And
if
you're
Kenner-
expected to pony up.
If Kenner goes as a clown, I am going to be the taskmaster of the circus.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm going to bring in like a little whip too.
I like that. I think I'm
Casey,
gonna get
I've asked you 100 times.
and get prosthetic.
Don't whip me. You know? Friday.
Halloween on a Thursday. That is perfect. That is
Imagine the clips that we're gonna get of being serious with. All right, Elliot, or Elliot's headlines.
Yeah.
Jacobs top 5 upsets of the weekend.
Yeah. Whew. I hope that's a Thursday, like with a marquee Thursday night football game that we're breaking down with like face paint.
I will say this. I don't know if anybody knows or who's watched The Office, but my whole office or my whole Halloween costume is Jim. I just put a name tag on that says my name is not Elliot. That's what I'll.
You should go as 3-hole punch this year.
3-hole punch. I like that.
But see, his costumes, he was trying so hard to make them just so simple and bad that those actually were the best ones.
They
3-hole
were.
punch
They were
Jim
great.
is my favorite.
They were great.
At
He was a great Popeye.
Very good Popeye.
All right,
Let's get back to the radio.
let's go. Let's do some serious sports talk here.
Please.
On this not so serious Friday. All right, and we are back off the bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, 1410 ESPN Radio in Dayton. We're going to see the debut of Rhett Lauder tonight for the Cincinnati Reds.
That's right.
It's good.
How about that series with the A's, by the way? That had all the makings of what should have been just a very boring and uneventful series. It was actually kind of an exciting series. It didn't go in the Reds' favor, but
What's your definition of exciting? Because my definition of exciting might be a lot of runs, but it's also having serviceable pitching staffs.
Oh, let's be clear,
And
it's bad
neither
baseball.
team had that.
Well, what I mean by surprisingly, I guess, entertaining is you have two of the worst teams in baseball going head-to-head, nothing to play for. I mean, you have one team that has no fans, and then you have the A's. So it's like, but no, like we watched that match. There was at least, I can't believe there were some clips from last night's game. There were fans jumping up and down. I mean, I thought we just won the pennant last night.
It was the second walk off of the season. It felt good. It just having a little bit of excitement. It feels nice as a fan to be rewarded like that every once in a while, despite what the record is. So, yeah, I was it exciting? I don't know. Sure, maybe. I'm a pessimist as a fan. Everybody knows that. So when I go into these, I didn't really cheer last night. I was just there. I was just experiencing it. Like somebody who just came from out of town and just wanted to visit Great American Ballpark to knock it off their list. That was essentially my fandom. But it was nice. There was a guy next to me, and he cheered for every pitch. He was cheering for every pitch, didn't care about the score, didn't care about anything. He was literally there to root for the home team no matter what. And I respect the hell out of that kind of fan. I respect that when you don't care about the longevity, you're not thinking about the analytics. You are just there to watch your favorite team play another team despite everything and cheer on them to win. So that was good to see that last night.
Yeah, Cincy B says, how the heck have they only had 2 walk-off wins all year? That's pathetic. Keep in mind, when this team was not rolling, but when they were, winning, I guess, more than they are now, when they won by a lot of runs. And then when they were in close games, they would lose. I mean, that was the big critique of David Bell initially early on, was the only thing you could really kind of put the blame on him, according to former players and baseball people in general. 1-run losses are on the manager, right? Like, so they were stockpiling 1-run losses, and then when they won, usually in games 1 and 2, right? Like they would, beat teams by 4 or 5 runs. That's why they had that positive run differential, despite being one of the worst offensive teams in baseball, which was wild. So yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about that. They don't win close games, and when they do win, it's usually because the bats come alive for a couple games a series. But
they're the run differential champs of the world. Good for them. Good for them.
So at this point, at least, I mean, things were tail spinning out of the control. There was nothing to really feel good about. We have to be somewhat positive about things, because if not, I can't get through a month of just trashing the Reds for an entire month, right?
Yeah, that's the part of it that stinks, because I do have to try to find some good, and there are some good pieces. I'm sure we'll talk about it here soon. But it is unfortunate that it seems like season after season we get to September, and there's just nothing left.
Well, I'm very happy right now about. I don't think Tyler Stephenson's getting talked about enough.
Yeah.
When we talk about the core, and we don't need to go into who we think the core is, but if we were to talk about who the core is, where's Tyler Stephenson for you? Is he a part of is he the long-term catcher for the Cincinnati Reds team?
Yeah,
He's 28 years old. Been here for this is year 5, I believe. Is he the long-term catcher for the Reds?
I think so. I think he should be. And again, this was after last year. I was kind of out on him. Offensively, he wasn't there. Defensively, he certainly wasn't there. This year, he's taken massive steps forward. It's a borderline all-star season for Tyler Stephenson. In my opinion, I think with the way he finishes it, at least offensively, it's a borderline all-star for a catcher. So, yeah, I think he has to be a part of the team going forward. You talk about leaders in the clubhouse. I think he's led this pitching staff to being as successful as they've been. And I think he's been a large part of the success of this team. Him and Ellie De La Cruz offensively, they've been very, very important. Jonathan India at times has been very important. If I were the Reds, I'd look to extend him soon. I think he needs to be a part of the team. It's going to be hard to replicate what he's done. So if you're thinking you can find a catcher that can replicate offensively what Tyler Stephenson is, it's going to be difficult, especially for a cheap contract.
Yeah, I mean, look, when Joey Votto still was on this roster, and then you had Tyler Stephenson, who was continuing to get beat up. There was the talk to keep Tyler Stephenson healthy was, split time between first base and catching, and then you had the DH to they wanted to limit his time behind the plate as much as possible, because it started trending towards the direction of him being injury prone.
Yep.
I think he had 3 different IL stints, all because of collisions at the plate.
Yep.
But he was one of their best hitters, and they were trying maybe we have to have one of our best hitters in the lineup consistently, and we can't have him continuously get knocked out playing the most physical position, in baseball. So I remember when that was the big talking point of what to do with him. But then last year he took a step back. He was kind of underwhelming to start the year, but he's quietly just been the Reds' best hitter over this last month, especially. He's been actually very consistent for most of the year, but he's been their only bright spot offensively outside of Ellie over this last stretch.
He's come up in big moments, too. That's the part of it. Casey likes to bring up the fact that Ellie never comes up clutch. I think that Tyler Stephenson is the guy that can come up clutch. I think he delivers contact when you need it. Ellie De La Cruz, again, had a chance last night to get a big hit. He got a walk. He got on base. But Tyler Stephenson's a guy I would trust now that if the bases are loaded and you need a run and we need a ball in play, I trust Tyler Stephenson to do that. Him, Spencer Steer, Ellie, and honestly, Santiago Espinal, as ironic as it is, I trust those guys to put the ball in play, not go down swinging, and to give the Reds and the team a chance to win late in games. So, yeah, he's been incredible, and I'm happy that it's happened this year.
Yeah, I think a lot of those questions about him have been completely taken away. He was great as a rookie, and then the last 2 years it's really been a struggle. And he seems to have gone back to that old form, and that's exactly what you wanted to see. I mean, we always talked about how his bat could overcome him being a poor defensive catcher. Well, now he's a fine defensive catcher, and the bat seems to be all the way back. So that's basically all you could want out of a guy behind the plate. He's I think if he continues on this trajectory, we could be talking about him, pretty strongly in the conversation as a top 10 catcher or so in the MLB. So I'm super excited about Tyler Stephenson, and I'm glad he's been able to play a lot and play basically a full season. I mean, he
hasn't been hurt yet, really.
The injury concern was the main reason why he wasn't a part of the future, regardless of how he played, because you didn't think you could rely on him behind the plate and in that battery. And now, the pitchers are asking to pitch to him. They used to be different. Everyone used to ask to pitch to Maile, which put the team in a tough spot. And now he's good enough behind the plate that they have faith in him, both the coaches and the players. And I think that's absolutely crucial to putting a contract or whatever it is, putting some faith behind the catcher. You need that kind of reciprocation from the pitching staff that they like working with him. And now that Stephenson's had that, I'm not sure what more you could ask for out of a catcher of the future.
Yeah, remember the original youth movement for this rebuild? It was Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, and then, of course, Jonathan India, Rookie of the Year, and Tyler Stephenson. That was like the original youth movement of this team, and then now those like the veterans of the group, and then you, of course, I miss saying Matt McClain, but Matt McClain and Spencer Steer and Ellie De La Cruz, and now you've stacked some of those, groups that you've brought up. But
Graham Ashcraft was part of the three-headed monster.
He was Andrew Abbott before Andrew Abbott.
He was the big three.
We're just hoping Andrew Abbott doesn't turn into Graham Ashcraft. Ashcraft was good. That's what stinks about his fall off. Is like
Ashcraft worked really hard, and sometimes he got to the fifth inning, and the other team hadn't scored a lot of runs.
There was a portion.
So you weren't high on Ashcraft?
No. But to be fair, I'm also not super high on Andrew Abbott, so maybe I'm just pessimistic.
There was a portion of last year where Graham Ashcraft was one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Certainly.
There was like a month stretch. Again, a lot of them just have these little month stretch where
it was followed by like 3 starts where he allowed like 13 runs.
Yeah, I can't help that. But there was potential in Ashcraft. Now it seems like he's not a part of this team going forward. That's unfortunate. But again, guys like Tyler Stephenson, Jonathan India, if there were ever doubts about those two players coming to this year, each of them couldn't have had a better season to bounce back. Jonathan India, say whatever you want about him playing second base, not a good defender. He's improved big time at that position. Defensively, offensively, he's been what we think he is, which is a solid, serviceable hitter when you need him to be. I still like Jonathan India as a part of the Reds going forward as a platoon player. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And Tyler Stephenson as a starting catcher, I'd like Tyler Stephenson as, in fact, I don't know what the record is now, as the Reds have kind of started to tank a little bit. But Tyler Stephenson, when he's on the field, the Reds win those games a majority of the time. I want to say it's like 65% of the time when Tyler Stephenson's out there, the Reds are winning those games. So I'd like to see him more. I'd like to see more of Tyler Stephenson. Next year, I would like more DH, more first base out of him when he's not catching. But yeah, good for Tyler, good for Jonathan India, two guys who I think a lot of this fan base had wrote off coming into this year.
All right, Off the Bench presented by United Dairy Farmers. Reds have a doubleheader today. They're playing a bad team too, so that's good. Not.
The Brewers, I don't think the Reds will ever beat the Brewers. I'm convinced of that. That's a tough place to be.
You think I'm going to go out on a limb. They take 2 today.
They take 2 today?
They can take both of them.
I think they're going to win the Rhett Lauder game.
They're going to win the Rhett Lauder, yeah.
A walk-off to end the series you lose against the A's, and then Rhett Lauder doubleheader win in a series you lose to the Brewers is a perfect way to get Reds fans excited and then look at the standings and be like, oh, wait, we're 10 games below 500.
Yeah. We have some Reds news for you, Kenner.
What do we got?
Option to AAA Louisville was Brandon LeBrant. What was your favorite part of Brandon LeBrant's stint with the Reds?
All the winning, dude. Yeah. I mean, what's his
They
war?
went 1-0.
They did go 1-0.
His
under
war
LeBrant.
has to be through the roof, right? What's his war?
I would assume
400.
Very close to 0.
Yeah.
But he's not losing them games. Yeah. That's all that matters.
Zulueta?
Yasfer.
I tried to do the hard name. He's been anointed as the 27th player for today's doubleheader. So they get an extra man for the doubleheader. He will be the doubleheader guy. He's been very good this year.
Very.
Secret weapon.
Or has he just been good this year?
Very good. And finally, designated for assignment, Jacob just said me this during one of the breaks. Infielder Davis Wenzel has been designated for assignment.
Thank you, Mr. Wenzel, for all the memories with the Reds.
What was your favorite part of Davis Wenzel's
When
Reds
I bought his jersey, and now I got to figure out what I'm going to do with it.
Yeah. That's
Classic
it.
mistake.
Game used. Impossible.
Yeah.
Jimmy's not here to read the lineup, so I'll do that. Jonathan India is
I
batting.
miss Jimmy's lineups, by the way.
They were the worst.
I love Jimmy,
were
but I
so
miss
bad.
his lineups.
They were so bad.
I don't know if he did it as a bit or if he just did it so slow to get under my skin, but it was so bad.
It was
Jimmy
like
was
it was
good
like
at
the
most
game
things.
time ad.
Yeah.
It was like the game time ad. It was just
It was.
I'm blaming Casey for that.
Casey's now
I have
had
no-
two
I have no
instances of this ad, and both times they both could have been stopped if he just said, "Hey, let me finish."
Oh, I already tried that once. And
No,
just
you
kept
didn't.
going.
That's not trying.
You just kept going.
You whisper into the mic. I can't hear you from over here.
We don't have to do this live. No, we can't cut it out.
So here we go.
I want it left in.
Jonathan India, second base, leading off. Ellie De La Cruz batting second today, shortstop. Spencer Steer in left. TJ Friedl in center field as always. Those are the 1, 2, 3, 4. Ty France DHing today at 5. Dominic Smith playing first base. He's hitting 6th. Santiago Espinal back in the infield. He's at third base, hitting 7th. Will Benson is hitting 8th in right field, and Luke Maley is the catcher for Game 1 of the first game of the doubleheader. Game 1 of the first game. It didn't make sense, but Game 1 of the doubleheader.
There you go.
Good luck to Nick Martinez,
That's right.
reliever.
What is David Bell doing with that lineup? Seriously, get rid of him. Can him.
Yeah, those are my favorite people that still argue that. But
I wish they would just rest Ellie because they seem to always win on those days.
They do.
Rest Ellie for Game 1, have him healthy and fresh for Game 2.
that was one of my favorite arguments of our
But
show.
let's see what Game 2 brings. Because watch when David Bell rests Ellie tonight for Rhett Lauder's debut. Watch
That'd be
Twitter,
fun.
Watch Twitter lose their minds.
Are they wearing?
Correct.
They're wearing the City Connect for both games.
That's a great question.
wearing black today?
That's what I'm wondering.
Whew.
Well, they're definitely wearing it for the night game.
Yeah, no way they'll do it during
They
12:40.
can't, right?
No way.
I mean, to get 2 City Connect games in one day. It's only 85.
Yeah. The jerseys are thin too. Let's make them wear both games. That'd be fun.
Nobody's gonna watch that first one though. So.
Not a soul.
Does anyone want tickets to that game? I could send you tickets right now
Which one?
to Game 1.
I gotta work.
You got to work? Okay. Anyone want tickets? First couple people that say they want tickets, I'll send them tickets right meow.
Come on, Chad. Someone step up. Support
But you have
your
to
local
go.
ball club.
Don't just take them to take them. All right? You know, take them to go.
We will be
Let's see how
checking.
hot it's gonna be at 12:40. 95.
Ah, see?
95. Not a
not even
cloud
triple
in the
digits.
sky. Good luck. Good luck to anybody who's doing that.
All right, off the bench presented by United Dairy Farmers. Now we'll talk about Nick Castellanos, and we'll do that next. Off
right.
the bench. More next. Jimmy is not catching strays. Let's just be clear. We love Jimmy. In fact,
I don't know. I gave him a pretty big stray there.
I might reach out to Jimmy. I want him to do the lineup next week. We might actually.
Can we get Jimmy to call in for the
Do you want to do a reenactment of how Jimmy does these lineups?
It's already 11:15. We don't have the time.
He at first base. Dom Smith.
Jimmy, we love you. I promise.
Batting second. In right field.
I just got a silence alarm on the radio.
Really? Yeah, so God bless Jimmy, but his lineup reading was the worst ever.
I miss it.
Nobody
and
can do it worse than
He
Jimmy.
is returning next week to do it. It won't be in studio, but we're sending him a link, and I'm going to tell him, hey, straight up, I know you're really busy with all your classes at Notre Dame.
Batting third.
He calls them lectures. I saw the other day, he just got done with his first. Did you call them lectures or classes?
I called the lectures, and then
I went to Wright State. We just had classes.
well, I had classes and lectures. They're two different things, at least for me.
I never called them lectures. I called them classes.
Yeah, everything was class. When I skipped, it was class.
Because Toledo, it was always very, very small classes. It would just be like a high school class, essentially. It would be a little bit bigger than that, like 50 kids, 40 kids.
Yeah, those would be. We had like 400-person lectures.
I'd have that at UC, but even then, I just called it a class.
I just knew you could skip the lectures and not the classes.
Yeah.
All right, Nick Castellanos. Remember him?
Yeah,
I think we all remember him.
Worse than Will Benson,
I
right?
don't remember him. That's what Evan said. He said he was a worse player than Will Benson.
Really?
That was the take.
Do you agree with that take?
Of course I don't.
For about a season and a month, he was right.
And
then Will Benson.
Hey, he's been their MVP. Him and Tyler Stephenson, MVPs lately.
Yeah.
Mark Fighters asked where the
Back-to-back
tickets.
DSC deep drives of the day for Will
That's
Benson.
right. How about that?
What was that noise?
What was that? What?
What's going on?
It was just a simple, I don't know. Nick Castellanos was asked, okay, if you were commissioner for a day of Major League Baseball, what would be the first change that you would implement? Take a look. I love this idea. I'm curious your guys' thoughts, but here's Nick Castellanos.
What would you change about the game?
I would change that ownership doesn't have any severe consequences for losing for an extended period of time. You know, so like if we're in the big leagues and we don't perform well, we get demoted or cut. If their organization didn't perform well, somebody else would have an opportunity to buy it from them. You know, keep it to where nobody can really own the game of baseball, because the game is above true ownership. But that would never
happen.
That would never happen.
That would never happen. And I don't think that it'll happen at all. When I say I love his idea and I agree with it 100%, it's not necessarily the full idea. I do wish there was a little bit more of a checks and balances with ownership. I just saw a quote recently that Mark Cuban was interested in buying the Pirates long ago.
Yeah.
But that the Pirates ownership group, and he would be willing to spend a nice little, it's Mark Cuban, right? He'd spend a nice little penny. And that Pirates ownership, that they will not relinquish that. And the quote is that they are, for one, you get the TV revenue coming in, so you're making money right off the bat. And, it's just a steady little revenue stream for them, and they don't have to invest in the team. That's why they're one of the worst franchises in all of sports. Talking about the Pirates, of course. I hate the fact that they have Skeens. By the way, you see never mind, we're not going to talk about Live Dunn today, but Live Dunn, shout out to Live Dunn. But
Live Dunn. Live?
My ADD. Sorry.
Shout out to Live Dunn.
Live Dunn.
Going
That's
back to the sports,
special.
going back to the sports side here. Angel Reese stinks, by the way. That's besides the point. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, part 4 tonight. You guys watching?
Yeah.
Back to Castellanos. So the Pirates, battle. So Mark Cuban tried. He was interested in it. Didn't work out. And I think that ownership groups like that are bad for baseball. And look, the Castellanos, I think that they're horrible for baseball as well. I don't know how you regulate what success is for owners, but I don't think you could do the whole, if you don't have a winning season for X amount of years, you get your team taken away. What I would implement, though, we're tired of when teams don't spend. I know that's like a big talking point for me, like the Guardians. The Guardians would be an interesting one because they win a lot, but they don't spend a lot. Bottom 5. And again, I guess you call that a salary. I guess that's the salary cap stuff too. But it's like you got to be spending your money. You got to be at least moving forward. Salary cap will never be implemented into baseball. I don't know how you regulate this. I don't necessarily. It can never work out the way Castellanos was talking about, obviously. But at the end of the day, I do hate that there's just no repercussions for bad ownership groups. And why Major League Baseball and why professional sports don't make that more of a point of emphasis of making sure that there is some kind of checks and balances for team ownerships is just wild and beyond me, because they make you look bad. The Pirates make Major League Baseball look bad. Castellanos, when they're cheap and when they won't fully, we give Joey Votto $225 million there. You guys happy? All right, enjoy him for the next decade while we don't do anything else around him. That's bad for baseball. Again, all of this, it was fun hearing a player say that. I love when active players and players say it versus just fans or media. It's never going to happen, but man, oh man, I hate how there's just no checks and balances for holding ownership groups accountable in sports.
I think most people know my take on this. I think there's a very clear disadvantage in Major League Baseball when it comes to the rich of the rich and the poor of the poor, and I think it's kind of a joke that somebody without the proper finances are able to buy a team. And again, when I say proper finances, I mean they don't have the funds the same way that the Yankees have the funds. And I know that's just you can't ask every billionaire to have the same amount of money, but at the same time, if you're going to be unable to spend at the same pace as other major league franchises, I don't think you should be able to own a team. And nonetheless, if you own a team and your franchise doesn't win games over a span of 30 years, I think somebody should look into that, because I don't think that, to be quite honest, it's very fair. You can't do the salary cap because the players would hate it. You can't do the salary floor because owners would hate it. So baseball's in a tough spot where the rich get richer and the poor are down there at the bottom, and they have to fight and pick their one season in 10 years or they decide to go quote unquote all in. That's the way baseball's set up. I think it's a terrible system, but it's never going to change. And for me to sit here and act like it could potentially ever change is silly. It just won't. Baseball is not going to change when it comes to that stuff. So I'm gonna stop asking for it and just live with the punishment that I've been given, which is to be a Cincinnati Reds fan.
Yeah, the only way to fix issues with ownership is salary floor, salary cap, that whole conversation. And there's no incentive for the Baseball Players Association to ever agree to anything like that. That would only hurt them. It would only hurt the big market teams, so you'd never get them to vote on it either. I don't think it's feasible, so it's not an argument I spend a lot of time thinking about, but it would certainly be good for the sport. It would certainly be good for the sport to be player-driven. So it's a good take, but it's just so far away from something. It's not
even a thought. It's not even like, because
they pull the strings and everything.
Correct.
The ownerships.
Correct.
Yeah, but I love, again, Castellanos saying it. I was like, okay, that's cool, whatever. But
he was talking about the Reds, right?
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the teams. What's all the teams he's played for?
Detroit. He played for Detroit, the Cubs, the Reds, and Philly.
So he's played for one bad franchise. It's the franchise we love. Detroit,
Detroit's not great.
But Detroit at least has, in our lifetime, a little bit more of, fine, two very good franchises, one that's still better than the Reds, even though recently maybe not so much, but it's besides the point. So, unless you talk to Jimmy.
Correct.
Talk to Jimmy. But so I saw that Reed said, doesn't ownership have the worst punishment? I think, doesn't ownership have the worst punishment, losing millions of dollars? I mean,
it's not a punishment, though, when you willingly buy a team.
The problem is
the risks.
The revenue, the TV revenue, that's what really made everything – it's bailed them all out, because back in the day, ticket sales used to matter. Back in the day, concessions used to matter. That's how you made your money. That's why it was important to put as good a product on the field as possible, because that's what got people to go to the ballpark. And then when they're at the ballpark, that means they're spending money on tickets, and they're spending money on the food in the ballpark, the jerseys, all that fun stuff. Now when they're getting the TV money up front, that's their revenue stream, and that's what they, like that's how they, budget everything is, okay, we already know we're going to make this much. They don't have to work to make anything. They could work harder to make more on top. You know what I mean? Like if you put a better product out there, you get your TV money, and you get to make money off the ticket sales too. So again, there's no fix to this, but I do think the biggest problem is the fact that the TV revenue, it's just given to you. There's that money sound again. Oh, it's the iPad. There we go. We have an answer finally. But yeah, when they get the money up front, they know that they're going to get X amount of dollars per year from that. That's what they live off of. The sports ownership should not be an investment. You should be passionate about it and trying to make money off of it. And there's too many that don't. As far as
I agree 100%. Unfortunately, we were given the owners that we have, and you have to live with that until one day they decide to sell that team. But until they do, you have to live with it. And I'm hoping that they're going to pay Ellie De La Cruz. I'm hoping they're going to pay Matt McClain and Nick Lodolo and all these guys. But at the end of the day, it's going to be impossible. So you have to take what you're given, and this is what we've been given, unfortunately.
So here's the question I have. I saw that it was thrown out in the chat. And I know the most popular answer will be to fire me. I completely get it. But for those in the chat, if you could be commissioner of Chatterbox Sports for one day, we'll throw out the same question to you as Nick Castellanos was asked if he was the commissioner of baseball for a day. What would he do? What would you do? If you were the commissioner of Chatterbox Sports for one day, what would you do right off the bat? I'm kind of curious. We should just say you're not allowed to fire Kinner. You're not allowed to fire me.
The first answer is extend Kinner.
Correct.
I'll look at Fetters. I like Mark Fetters. Good for you. Good for me. Bueller? Oh, we're losing steam, guys. Come on. We're heading into the weekend.
What do you mean? What was I supposed to say?
Yeah.
What was I supposed to say to that?
Off the bench, presented by United Farmers. We'll be right back. All right, a little buy or sell as we wrap up the radio side of this here today. Again, Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, 1410 ESPN Radio in Dayton. Buy or sell right off the bat. Let's get into it. Buy or sell, little Cincinnati Reds. We've seen the last of Hunter Green this season. Buy or sell?
I'm going to sell it just change because I quite literally don't think the Reds have the option to shut Hunter Green down. I don't think there's enough starting pitchers to start the rest of the year. I think if he's healthy and he gets good reviews from the medical staff, I think we will see him again. So I'm going to sell that he's shut down for the rest of the year, but not that I don't want that to be the case.
I don't want him to come back the same way Jacob doesn't. Out of necessity, he literally has to. Because, again, they don't have starting pitchers. So he will be back. We will see him again. I don't know if you should encourage it. I'm not going to cheer for him to go out there and throw 7 innings every time. Go 4 innings, don't allow a run, don't allow a hit. Try your best. Try your best. Throw 4 of your best innings you got every single outing and call it a day. Because, to be quite honest, I couldn't bear to risk losing Hunter Green for next season.
If we bring him back, his pitch count needs to be monitored.
I would.
Pretty strongly. Like, give us the 4 innings we're getting from an opener, pull him with 50 pitches if we're lucky. Like, I would not even threaten.
Could you imagine the people that are going to blame David Bell for that one too?
Yeah.
That would be very, very funny.
No, I wouldn't let him sniff 100 pitches the rest of the year if he comes back.
And the worst part about it is too, like the Reds are close enough to being 500. They're not 500, but they're close enough to being 500 where the fan base would still be like, they need to try to win. They need to try to win. And again, I'm not ever advocating for intentionally losing baseball games when you haven't done so in 30 years. But at the end of the day, we just suffered a season, one of the more unlucky seasons I've ever witnessed in my entire life. The entire roster is injured. The entire roster. Coming into next year, I'd like it to be as healthy as possible. We go from the beginning. We have Matt McClain. We have Jake Fraley. We have Jeimer Candelario. We have Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo. Everybody's healthy. I want everybody to be healthy.
And those guys are playing to the level that we expect them to play at as well.
I don't want to come into next year with the same sort of injury-ridden team and deal with the same thing time and time again. And if that means resting my superstar starting pitcher for the end of this catastrophe of a season, I'll do it. But to answer your question, I am going to sell the fact that we've seen the last of him because, again, there's not enough starting pitchers on the roster to warrant him not playing.
Yeah, Cincinnati Reds have 24 players on the IL this year. And according to Spot Track, the cash total per days missed, the Reds have lost $12 million this season from missed time from the players.
Wow.
From the lineup. So there you go. But, yeah, I agree. Like a couple weeks ago, I think it was last week or beginning of I don't remember. This week actually kind of has been long, but I think we got an update on Hunter Green over the last weekend, and he said he's actually fine. It was all the results came back, positive, all that fun stuff. So, but the one thing that wasn't in the clip that we shared was that he can't even resume throwing for another couple weeks. So by the time he could resume throwing, that would be a week into September. Then you get, a couple rehab starts, and then that just leaves you with a couple weeks left of a season because it's not a playoff year. They're not going to get to the playoffs. So that just seems to be a lot to get him ramped back up just to go out for 3 or 4 more starts. Now, to be fair, the one counter argument I heard, because I hadn't come across any counter arguments that I could comprehend or at least see their view. Shout out to Nick Kirby. He said the one thing that you go look at a lot of the starters who are going to be pitching deep into October. The one thing the Reds starters, even Hunter Green, as great as he has been this year, I think it's 100-something pitch. Like there's going to be pitchers who have pitched over 200 innings that are going into the playoffs that have proven they could pitch deep into the season. That I agree with. That I understand, but I don't know if you're going to accomplish anything with just 3 or 4 more starts. And if they're going to be putting an innings count on them for those anyways, you might as well just keep it shut down. But you're right. All 5 guys on the IL, you kind of almost seem forced to do it as far as that's concerned. I'll be surprised if we see him. I'm going to sell it. I don't think we see him, but I understand. I kind of wanted to buy it as well because who the hell else are you going to keep throwing out there?
Yeah, I hope you're right. I hope you're right in all honesty. I really do hope you're right. But I don't think these bullpen arms will live if Hunter Green doesn't come back this year.
And that's my worry, too. And I don't think anybody's really mentioned that is if the overuse of all our relievers coming to next year. I think the overuse of Ian Jabot ruined his season this year. I think if you're going to overuse every single reliever we have for the next 30 games, it's going to be a problem.
All right, buy or sell. On to the next one. I know you had one as well, right? Didn't you say you had to buy or sell?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll go to yours.
We'll go to mine.
Do you have it ready? You have it ready to go?
Buy or sell, an exciting one for tonight, a positive Browns one. Rhett Lauder will record a quality start tonight.
What'd you say?
I said Rhett Lauder will record a quality
start. No, what'd you say before? I'm so glad we made eye contact. What'd you say before that?
A positive which one?
A positive one for tonight.
Oh, I thought you said a positive Browns one. You said a positive Browns one.
Oh, I didn't mean to. If I
No,
did.
I was excited.
it's-
I was like, let's hear it, dude.
No, positive Reds one for tonight.
Rhett Lauder will not record a quality start in terms of I don't think he'll go 6 innings. I think he will go 5 innings. He'll allow 1 run and he'll strike out 5. 5 innings, 5 strikeouts, 1 earned run. So it's not technically a quality start. I'm going to sell
But it's
it.
something you're excited
But he's
about.
going to be. It's going to be something that we're excited about.
That's important. I'll say yes because, like I said yesterday, if you're not excited about Rhett Lauder's debut, what else is there this Red season to get excited
Nothing,
about? So
yeah.
I'm going to choose to be excited about this one. I'm going to try to watch as much of this game as I can, or at least as much of his start as I can. I really hope he goes out there and deals. It'd be really cool to see that. This is what you hope for when you draft a pitcher in the first round, especially as high as we took Lauder, is that he'd come up and make a difference as soon as possible, and this is as soon as possible. So hopefully he can make a difference and prove that whether he deserved to be called up or was forced to be called up by injuries, that he is a true major league arm already. It would be pretty cool to have him go out there and just show 6 innings of pure baseball tonight.
Can't control the schedule, but I'm surprised I haven't seen people complain that you're calling him up now and throwing him to the Wolves against the Brewers. I mean, does that matter to you guys at all that it's the Brewers that they're calling him up against?
I think if they had a chance to manipulate the schedule and call him up against someone else, they probably would have. You don't have that
They don't
luxury.
have no depth.
And
He wouldn't be up
Beggar-
right now
Well, they
at
also-
all without.
They don't have options.
Beggars can't be choosers at this point.
Again,
Exactly.
they literally have 0 options other than to have him play tonight.
So I'm going to buy into it. I don't think the Reds have had a bad debut. What's the worst debut for a player that we've seen for the Reds? I'm not saying that they all are great, but the debuts have been pretty solid. What's the last bad debut we saw? Reese Hines,
I'm
everyone's
trying to
been
think
great.
of the worst.
Aguilar was fine.
Didn't Lodolo get roughed up in his first one?
I don't remember.
I thought Lodolo might have gotten roughed up in his first one.
But with these guys recently, it's been I don't remember the last. I mean, guys in the lineup hitting a home run usually in their first game or getting a base hit. Reese Hines, we saw what he did in his debut, of course, and that hot streak carried for a little bit. So I'm going to buy it. I mean, these guys that the Reds have called up through the system, it just seems like they're ready to go when they get called up. Obviously, a couple starts or a couple at bats, and then the league starts adjusting to them, and then they have to adjust.
Right.
But overall, they seem to be ready. My only concern is the other guys that they've called up have been prepared, have been ready, and they've been called up in the timeline of which they were envisioned to be called up.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case for Rhett. That's my biggest concern about tonight is he's being called up out of necessity versus the timeline that they had envisioned for him. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
as
and
far
that's
as
not
that goes.
even like remotely a hot take. I don't think. There's no way Rhett Lauder's ready or was planned on.
Correct.
Let me take that back. He could be ready. He could be ready. This was not ever close to the plan.
No.
One AAA start is not the plan.
This was an audible.
for a guy you want to be a core piece of your rotation.
This was an audible out of necessity.
Right. Yeah.
So I think it's okay for fans to not have as much excitement in the world for that reason.
And I do agree.
Nonetheless, he is the future.
If we had more top prospects closer to the majors, I don't think I'd be as excited about this. Obviously you hope Chase Burns has a similar trajectory and is up sometime next year when hopefully in late August we're competitive and we're adding him to a competitive team instead of a team with no starting pitchers out of necessity, but that's a different story. If he can go out there and prove that he's ready and not have to go back to the minors at all and just be a pitcher in this rotation that we're excited about going into opening day next year, that's so crucial. And I don't really know when the next minor league prospect debuting for the Reds that we're going to be excited about is, unless it's Chase Burns next year. Everyone else is pretty far away.
Yep.
Like an anticipated one or just in general?
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like a lot.
Well, we're going to have a lot of debuts with more injuries. We'll probably have more pitcher debuts this year, if I had to guess.
I would bet so.
But I mean, a guy that you can really get excited about watching with the Reds for a long time, a guy that you can talk about being a part of this team when we're eventually winning important games. And I think Lauder is obviously a piece that you hope is that, and we get to see him start it tonight. So I think you should at least tune into the first 5 or so innings of the game. If you can.
I'd bring up Blandino.
That's right.
Let him throw the knuckleball.
That'd be fun. Still
Blandino?
upset they didn't have a Blandino card in the Reds Hall of Fame.
Yes. We went to the Reds Hall of Fame Museum, and they had every player, I'm pretty sure, that ever existed. And they didn't. There was no Blandino.
Really?
For his team.
Yeah, it's a shame.
For the years that he was here. It's very sad. Real quick, though, because I forgot to do this. Super Chats. I'm just going to read these real quick. Justin Edgel, member for 11 months. Thank you, Justin. Happy Labor Day weekend, fellas. Labor?
Yeah, happy Labor Day weekend to you as well, Justin.
I don't understand the joke.
I don't either.
Labor Day. And then Chad Waits, $4.99. Doesn't it suck UC will never win a natty? Ha losers.
I love that you had to read that.
Well, I just needed to get it out of the way because I don't want to waste their money. So thank you, everybody. Instead of labor, hay, weed. Is that a thing? Is that a vernacular? I don't know. I don't know. Sorry, had to interrupt.
No, I mean, what is this? Ad reads with Casey? I mean, what the hell, dude? Like, like what? You're just hijacking? I mean, no.
Hijacked the entire show. I just knew if I didn't do it, I was going to forget. So,
and
God bless America.
But we're usually very good at staying on task on this show.
Very.
So
That's right.
I don't know why you thought that we would have got to it. All right, next up, buy or sell. We did our couple Reds buy or sells. Let's go over to college football. We opened up the show talking college football. Jake gave his top 5 upset alert games heading into this weekend. We also talked about Colorado and their, I guess, exciting game last night. Travis Hunter was fantastic. Shedeur Sanders made some, very athletic throws. Has people talking today. Earlier today on ESPN's Get Up, Desmond Howard said that he believes Travis Hunter could win the Heisman this season, even with the losing record. So that's where we're at already.
Yeah.
Colorado football in August and September, it gets the people going to have these wild takes. And that's not a shot at Travis Hunter. It's not a shot at Shedeur Sanders. Those are two fantastic players who many believe will be in the conversation. But buy or sell at least one of these two, Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. Buy or sell at least one of these two being a Heisman finalist at the end of the season.
I mean, come on. I'm selling this, right?
I'm going to sell it.
That would mean they're a top 3 or maybe 4 player in college football. There's just no way. I don't think Colorado's going to win more than 6 games max, 7 games maybe. So I don't think that's good enough to get you into the Heisman finalist in New York. There's no way. We might have a conversation after week 3 though about Travis Hunter having 500 yards and 2 picks and. Holy cow, maybe he is going to be a Heisman finalist. And then they're going to get into a Big 12 schedule, and they're going to play competitive teams, and we'll see how that goes. Because if anyone remembers last year, that Heisman was chilling in his crib after week 3, and he didn't finish top 5. So I don't know. I would temper your Colorado expectations throughout the first few weeks.
I'm gonna sell. I don't think. I don't think you'll be in top. What does it take to be a finalist? Top 5?
3.
Top 3.
Or maybe 4.
Okay, so I don't think you'll. I don't think you'll be top 10. I don't think you'll be top 10, if I'm going to be honest with you.
Shedeur?
Yeah. Or I think Shedeur or Travis Hunter. I don't think either of them. Because I don't think that a team that is so bad can have a player win a Heisman. It just doesn't work like that, in my opinion. In college football, you have to matter to your team a ton, and it's hard to matter to your team when you win 4 games. I don't think it's reasonable.
I totally agree.
Yeah, and look, last year we saw this where they were the hottest thing in sports, right? Colorado wasn't even being talked about by the end of the year. Like, not even talked about poorly. It was just they were an afterthought. When the real game, when the big games really started picking up, as the playoff picture started to form. I mean, I kind of forgot all about Deion in Colorado towards the back end of last season when things started heating up in the SEC, the Big Ten. And I think all the attention is going to be on the new 12-team college football playoff format.
Yep.
I think they will be an afterthought by the end of the year. However, I mean, look, Travis Hunter's number last night. He had 7 receptions, 132 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had 2 tackles. He played every offensive snap. He played every defensive snap. That's fantastic against North Dakota State. Who they play last? North Dakota State. Yeah, that's fantastic. If he has stat lines like that every game, win or lose, yes, I could see Travis Hunter being a Heisman finalist at the end. But I just don't anticipate that being the case. I don't anticipate that being the case, especially once you guys talked about it, getting into the meat of the Big 12 schedule whenever that time comes, and they're just going to be so bad. It's one thing to be like have a couple losses, but they're not going to have a couple losses. They're going to be playing for. Do you agree? Are they going to be playing for their bowl game lives year 2 of Deion?
Yes, I think 6 games is the line. The line set at 5.5, and I think it's perfect. Whether or not they go to the bowl game, I think is the tipping point for Colorado this year.
Yeah, I think I don't think they're going to make a bowl game. Their defense is terrible. So if their offense can score 40 a game, then all the power to them in the world. I just don't think that's going to be sustainable once you get to a real conference schedule.
All right, we wrap it up. Buy or sell. Last one here. I think we've almost made it a full show without one mention of the Cincinnati Bengals. But,
That's right.
No, look, next week, a week from what I guess last night. A week from last night, the NFL season technically kicks off. But when we come back to the show on Tuesday,
Yeah, that's right.
Jamar Chase will have returned to practice by the time we return to the show on Tuesday. Buy or sell?
I'm gonna sell it. I would love to buy it. I would love to see him practice over the weekend. I don't necessarily think Jamar Chase is going to practice for the rest of the offseason. So I would sell it regardless of the date. I would buy a holdout until week 1, and the first time we see Jamar Chase catch a football live again is week 1.
If he's not going to do it now, I have a hard time believing he's going to do it with 3 days left to the season, 4 days left to the season, 5 days left. I think we're past the point of no return. He's done until week 1, and we'll see. I think the bigger question is, will he play week 1? I always believe he will. I don't have any doubts on that yet. Maybe as we get inch closer to that Sunday game, we'll have concerns. But yeah, I have a 0% chance. There's a 0% chance he's going to return to practice by Tuesday. Sell.
So let me ask you guys this. Last night, that deal with Brandon Ayuk gets done. And now there's multiple reports. That you got agents coming out and saying that your guy Adam Schefter was wrong about the reporting of the Brandon Ayuk deal, saying that he was at
Ricky the dog was wrong as well.
Ricky, no.
Deleted his account.
Big shouts to Ricky the dog. He crossed the Rainbow Bridge yesterday.
What?
Yeah, no, my dog insider that said Brandon Ayuk was being traded to the Steelers 2.5 months ago. Finally incorrect. Truly upsetting. Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but it was very, very funny. Some one of those weird accounts. Like, I don't know if you know, no free ads to pardon my take, but PFT had an account for his dog, and he would just do insider tweets from his dog's account.
That's awesome.
It was like Leroy the dog. So Leroy would give out breaking news, and then just would be breaking news in like NFL free agency, and would go bark at the end of each tweet. Very, very funny. But anyway, this is essentially what that was.
Yeah.
And the account's now deleted.
Yeah, Burner Ricky. His profile picture was a dog, and he told me Brandon Ayuk was a Steeler, and I believed him. I left my heart unguarded, and it was attacked.
There was a radio host from Pittsburgh that, and I can't remember, it's like Filipino. I can't remember his name, but he came out and was adamant. Breaking news. Ayuk is, dotting I's, crossing T's, with the contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Nick Wright, who was very close with this radio host out of Pittsburgh, he retweeted it and said, he goes, I am so close with this guy. I put all my trust and faith in him. So Nick Wright is promoting that the Steelers had it. That backfired big time. That backfired big time. That's why when you work as a sports radio host or sports media and you're not an insider or reporter, don't break news. I don't care if they've called you. Don't break news because, there's so many random sounds. I am so easily distracted today. But anyways, I say all this. Brandon Ayuk gets that 4-year, $120 million deal. Holding out for him didn't accomplish a damn thing. He tried to, and to his credit, he played the leverage game. He was flirting all over the place. He had googly eyes for all these other teams. He was flirting with the Patriots. He was flirting with the Browns. He was really starting to get serious with Pittsburgh for a little bit, but he always had his eye on the Commanders over here. And to the 49ers' credit, they're like, okay, go talk to him. Oh, good. Okay, well, all right. Yeah. In fact, we approve the trade. We like what they're willing to give us for you. So you just got to agree. And they called his bluff, and he ended up. I don't think he won. I mean, he got paid, but he was going to get paid anyways, whether it was by another team or the Niners, and he didn't get any record deal. He got $76 million guaranteed, $120 million over 4 years. It's not like he was up there with the CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, or what Jamar Chase is going to get. Bottom line is I'm not putting Jamar in that category there, but it's like there's a lot that Jamar is doing to try to get paid early. We just watched one team not blink, and basically the player kind of lost technically, and I just wonder if he sees that and just says, you know what, I'm making a lot of noise for no reason. I'm going to come back. I'm not buying. I'm going to sell that he's back by Tuesday. But, man, I'm having a really hard time buying that he is not going to practice before the week 1. But at the same time, you come back Tuesday, you come back Wednesday. What the hell's the point?
I agree.
Like,
that's my opinion.
So wouldn't it be the most Jamar thing ever just to play on Sunday without having one practice the whole time?
Yeah.
Yep. Wouldn't that be kind of wild?
If I could get odds on it, I'd take it right now.
Yep.
That's what I think is going to happen. So I don't really know. The one pushback I have on Schefter is I don't think I necessarily believe that that's the same deal Ayuk's been offered this whole summer.
Well, the agent came and said he was wrong. He goes, that's just not factually accurate.
Right. Well, obviously the agent would say that, though. That's what I mean. It's like who...
Oh, I guess it would look at
which side of piped-in, narrative manipulation are you going to believe? personally, I just feel like if the 49ers, who are clearly the best chance for Ayuk to win, were giving him a comparable contract with everyone else, which we always heard the highest offer was the Patriots, just north of 30. If they're giving him $30 million, I think he would have accepted that a while ago. So I feel like the holdout did win, and whether that's $1 million or $2 million, then we can have the debate about what a true win is, and I think that's a different debate. But
him being so open about not wanting to be there makes me think that the only way he would have stayed is if they upped his offer.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
He was FaceTiming players on other teams talking about how the Niners don't
Correct.
want him, and then he signs and is at practice.
Yeah.
I don't know, and obviously that's just picking a narrative, so you can do whatever you want there. But I'm going to choose to believe that holdout worked, and maybe that's because I'm a fan of a team with a wide receiver holding out.
Yeah, that Brandon Ayuk thing, and I just don't think he wanted to play for anyone else. He
Right.
wanted to be a Niner.
Totally
he got
agree.
what he wanted. And the Niners get what they want, too, at the end of the day. Last thing on this, too, I don't think the Bengals are wrong for not just going all out and just giving them the money this second. But you see the damage it's do, like perception's reality, and I'm not bashing the like I'm more leaning their side. Like I get that it would probably save you money if you got it done now, but they don't want to set the precedent, yada yada. We've been through that. But the problem is it's going to be used against them no matter what, even if Jamar's in the wrong.
Yep.
Because I already saw the graphic that came out that said every wide receiver that was due to be paid now from 2021 to now has been paid. The only two that have not been paid, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And there's a justifiable reason for both. The one, the Bengals, I signed off on them not keeping T. It makes sense. Like you're going to keep Jamar, yada yada. But the Jamar, I don't know. It's being used against them as far as that's concerned. That's the unfortunate part about all this. I don't think the Bengals are doing anything wrong. There's a positive to getting the deal done now, as we've talked about, but I don't think they're doing anything wrong by not bowing down and paying him this exact second. And maybe they do. But yeah, it's going to be used against them, and that's the unfortunate part because they've made a lot of, and this is coming from me, they have not been the same old Bengals as far as how they've handled this recent run with taking care of players and getting this roster built back up to be a Super Bowl, not just a winning team, but a Super Bowl contender. I don't think that's fair at the end of the day with as much noise as being brought about with this contract. It's not the same as the Justin Jefferson deal. It's not the same as Brandon Ayuk. It's not the same as the others. And the other receivers that got paid after 3 years like Jamar, those teams approached them trying to get a cheaper deal done, but also Waddle was never going to get paid Jamar Chase money. They can go to Waddle to get that $30 million deal, but the Bengals weren't in a hurry to go give him $110, $120 million guaranteed. So, yes,
the only
defending
wide
the
receiver,
Bengals heading into the weekend as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, everyone says Jamar needs to be signed now because the rest of his draft class has already been signed, and I agree with that sentiment. I think it's a good sentiment. Every other receiver in his draft class other than Amon-Ra St. Brown is the number 2. Yep. I think that's another thing to recognize. Even though they're great receivers, I'm not taking anything away from Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle, but they're the number 2 receiver in their offense. I don't think there's a soul in the world that would argue that. And that's exactly why you run to them with a $30 million offer before a lot of number 1 receivers get paid and swell the market size for wide receivers. So I think it's a little bit different. I think the Bengals, if they were going to go the route of extending T and letting Jamar walk, I think T would already be done. I just think it's a little bit more difficult to sign a guy who is going to reset the market, presumably.
Yeah.
All right, we're out of time. I do want to say this. I don't know what game Tom is calling this weekend, but I want to, again, congratulate Tom Brenneman back in the booth. Super happy for him. I can't wait to hear him on the call. I know Dialed In's coming up next. Is that right, Casey?
That's right.
Very cool. So, Casey, you're busy today. You're
very busy.
Busy.
Yeah.
Maybe we could redo some of those ad reads so we don't screw it up. You didn't mess that up. We did. I don't know why you look.
I don't know that we messed anything up. I messed it up.
So Casey, stop looking down over there. We're taking responsibility. Okay, relax.
Yeah.
Keep that smile that you had when you came in this morning.
I always got my smile on. I'm always smirking.
All right, smirking, not smiling, smirking. That wraps it up for us. Thank you, everybody. We're not on Monday. We'll be back on Tuesday, and then we'll be recapping Week 1 of college football, and then getting set for Week 1 of the National Football League.
That's
season.
right.
Of course,
Next week's going to be
Cincinnati
exciting.
Bengals. Finally.
Next week's going to be exciting.
2 hours of Reds talk on Tuesday, though.
Yeah,
Start to
wanna
finish.
bet?
I take the under.
Start to finish.
Want to bet? Yeah.
All right. Until next Tuesday, this has been Off the Bench presented by United Dairy Farmers.